Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode. Today, Deanna and I have the lovely Nan with us. Hello,
Yay! Hi,
Nan.
Nan.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome, and thank you
Awesome.
so much for being here with us today. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We're grateful to have you.
Yes, we
And
are.
and everyone, Nan is actually going to tell us all about what she does and who she is and how she got here. Um, so Nan, you want to kick it off and tell us, let's start with what do you do and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Alrighty. Um, so what do I do? I love to watch another individual sink down into themselves, maybe sometimes for the first time in their lives, and find the magic. And I use some tools to do that. I help people to remove blockages and accelerate into their own authenticity. Um, I like to call it finding their radiance.
Oh, I like that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. My whole journey throughout this started because I needed to find my own radiance. And to just touch surface level base where I've been and where I've come. When I was a child, I would see light beings. I would look at people and I would see them differently, but I wasn't aware that I was seeing somebody differently. And so I would ask, my friends and family, like, what is that thing? Or what is that thing doing? And for a while, the response was like, what are you talking about? And then one time, a family member turned and looked at me and said, "You mean your neighbor that lives down the road, like that thing?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." So in my mind as a child, I got a little distorted about things and humans, right? Like, because I saw differently than most people. And so I'm a child born in 1970. And so I was a child in the 70s. And although there was a lot of forerunners in the light worker fields and the star seeds, I was one of them, but I didn't recognize that as a child, right? I just recognized that I was seeing light beings. My home was tumultuous. And so I developed this way of being that was out of myself and out of my house rather than in myself and in my own home and environment. And what that entailed was dialing very deeply into being an empath. I would spend hours lollygagging with the trees and the fairies and the animals, and I would wonder what it was like to be green. What's green? What does green feel like today? What does this tree feel like? And so very young, I learned to rely on a sense of empathic gift that allowed me to kind of gauge the barometer in the room, right? Like I became that barometer I could feel. And so by the age of 10, I had had severe losses. I have a Scorpio stellium and the 12th house. And so I have picked a life theme of a lot all in one lifetime. And so by the age of 10, I had had severe trauma and abuse in my life. I had lost three people in succession, two that I loved the most dearly, and one that was producing trauma. And so that would have been my stepfather, my sister, and my grandfather. And so I experienced the loss of my mother as well because she was never quite the same again. So I'm just saying this a little bit to um, let people know who may hear this that trauma can become one of our biggest power points um, as we align to who our original soul imprint is meant to be here. That trauma knocks us off, and I call it the warble. And we kind of have a little bit of a warble about us that we must walk through. That's our biggest gift, is seeking those solutions, right? So I like to tell people I'm a solution finder. Um, for every human being that shows up in our field looking for a solution, there is some way of finding that solution. And so, what I like to do is share those solutions that have worked for my field and for my being in order to get very grounded and aligned within my own fields, within my own channels and my own columns, my own circuitry, and to be able to hold that presence for another while they may be going through the most dark, heavy energy that they have, that they know they've come through. Even they know they come through, they think it's their origination, and yet it's not that frequency. And so why I share all of this is I don't really know what to call myself, because for every person that shows up in front of you, that's unique, right? That's a unique tool
Mhm.
that we're going to have to pull forth. So, some tools that I have been known to use. I am a medium. Um, it's my least favorite tool, to be honest with you, because I'm like a child. I pout. I want to know names and I want to know dates, and I've just never dialed in enough to really secure names and dates. And so I pout, like, I'm a little pouty. I'm like, I would rather know. But what happens for me is that when a loved one or a being comes through, I receive so much information that, and sometimes even my facial features will change through mediumship to where that individual I'm reading for absolutely makes the emotional and mental connection that's needed through the heart, right? And so mediumship is a tool. Soul-centered healing hypnosis, which it's a process of clearing what no longer belongs to us or never did belong to us, and shows up in our pathways to teach us, more about ourselves and the power that we indeed hold on to, but we outsource. We outsource to other people, places, and things. And so I use that as a tool. I'm also very, very claircognizant. I get these very serious knowings, and I couldn't tell you how I know them, why I know them, but they're accurate. And so a lot of times I will get the knowing that this is just the way that we need to go. And so through that journey, those are some of the tools that I used, as well as others used for me. And through that, I'm writing a book, and it's about unfurling fern fronds. And so we have these fern fronds,
I'm
right?
sorry, say that again, unfurling.
Fern fronds, like a fern,
Oh.
the fronds.
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
Mhm.
uh-huh.
And so that's what life like has been for me. Like I was so drawn into myself, and as I unfurl, like all these little pieces of the fern open up, right? And they're all just different pathways that we can explore.
Hmm.
We can do it with a childlike enthusiasm. And one time while I was sitting in my living room, my youngest child had just gone off to kindergarten, and one of my identities was parent, mom. That's what I knew myself as. And then all of a sudden, my house is quiet and I have nobody else there. And the curtains
Mhm.
started blowing and breezing. And that was the first time that I could consciously tell you that I had spoken directly to spirit and had said, I'm going to need a little something to get me through this, because that's my identity, right? And so one of the things I like to do is to talk to people about these roles and these identities that we latch onto, that we believe that are us, that are not us at all. They're roles that we play. They are conditionings that we have taken on. They are masks that we present to keep us safe. um we use them for multitude of reasons. Everybody's reasons always different, so it's so unique when somebody shows up in my field, what tool we're going to use. And so I feel like I've been very gifted to be able to know what tool needs to come out of the box when a person presents, right? And I feel
Mhm.
truly blessed that many have showed up in front of me with their tools as I walk through that unfurling process, right? We all know our destination as humans, like the end, we know our destination. So it's like that journey, it's that unfurling that I like to really dial in with and give that love to. Um, Within the last 4 years, I've been introduced to human design, and they say that human design finds you. And that's, in my case, that's exactly what happened, all in a 12-hour period through 3 different people who have no seemingly connection to one another in any way, shape, or form, and
Mhm.
then kind of faded into the background as well. Brought up
Mm.
human design, and then I flipped on Facebook, and we talk about algorithms and things like that. But this person through other human design community actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm not sure why I'm reaching out to you, but hey." And so that started an intense love affair for me. It's not the only tool that I think is available. However, it's been the only tool for me, um, that has really allowed me to find that inner direction, that inner compass that said, "Hey, this is the power of who you are, and I want you to start to pay attention." And so that was kind of like a cue for me that it was time to change again, right? It's time to change again. It's those whispers that we need to, we don't need to, we can tune them out if we want. I don't suggest it. Um, but it was a signpost. It was a whispering, I want you to follow me, and there's something more. And through following that, the allowance of who I am has just really shown up. I've been able to allow more and more of myself. And I like to believe that I am very good at listening to other people, um, more so on an acoustic level that's unspoken than spoken. And another tool, right? Like we've got,
Mm.
all of us have these wonderful tools, but so to end that, I do want to end on the note, though, that I have been in recovery from substance abuse for 25 years.
Congrats.
And the reason why I bring that up, um, is because I believe that Spirit is asking us to look at our quirks, look at our ways of being, the things that we have done to dial down our intelligence, which was in my case, I dialed down with alcohol. Um, it's pretty lonely to see light beings in an environment where most don't. And so I tuned out with alcohol to dumb it down, to numb it out. And I really feel like part of my pathway right now is recreating something wanted to come through, something
Mm.
wanted to channel. We're recreating the way we speak our into power, the way that we call life to us. And I can't do that speaking the way that we speak right now. Um, and I have met incredibly beautiful, radiant souls that have used people, places, and things, not just a substance or a chemical, but emotions, people, places, and things to hide their radiance and to hide behind that because sometimes things are just too much in their lives. And so I believe that I am a true advocate for people, mm, people who are so brilliant and so shiny that they needed to just dial it down and maybe got in the wrong dial to change that frequency and to step forth with pride, not
Mhm.
stigma. I was embarrassed to admit that I was a medium. I was embarrassed to admit that I had these skills and innate intelligences that I was born with. And I numbed it down. And I'm really here to tell people, like, don't numb it down, dial up your radiance. Like, dial that up because we are here now because we need to be here.
Mhm.
Earth needs us, people need us. We need to connect in a level, not where we take and absorb, connect from others, but we need to create those connections so that we're turning each other on. So our brilliance, our radiance can shine in just the most original fashion that we are meant to shine in. And I will advocate for that every last time, because there's so much pain that is so unnecessary in hiding who you are. So much pain in that. And I'm not really about pain. I'm kind of a pansy when it comes to that. So,
Wow, that is so much. You have said so much that
Uh-huh.
it rings true. I mean, I'm 100% with you on we're here to help people and we're here to help people through this stage of becoming into what we are becoming. Um, wow. I mean, your journey and I liked what you said that really stuck to me was, you know, it's not just substances that we use to hide behind, but it's people, places, things. And that really struck a chord because that made me realize, yes, you can hide yourself in any situation. You can hide by hiding in a marriage, or you can hide by being a parent. But that same situation, like what you had when your youngest goes to school and you're alone in a quiet house for the first time in God knows how many years. I had a similar thing when I graduated. I got my degree in my late 30s. And
mm-hmm.
one day the entire house was quiet and I was graduated and I was like, I can't believe I'm starting something brand new at this age. And I mean, right down to the fact that the curtains were moving in the wind. I'm like, I get what you're saying because you feel like something else comes to you. You have a message, you have a moment with spirit in those kinds of experiences. So I just relate so well to what you said and the pathway that you took to get there. It sounds like, you went through some hard times for which I'm not trying to make light of it. You went through a lot, it sounds. And um isn't it that sometimes we walk through the fire so that we can help other people get themselves through it too?
Absolutely.
And yeah, that just really stuck out for me.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
think
Yeah.
wanted
that
to
is one
share
of the
just a
best.
moment. Sorry, Ronnie.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
I just wanted to share a moment in time that was instrumental in my pathway. Although I chose addiction and chose a substance to numb this out, it was a invitation that was delayed for me to revisit later on. So when my sister passed, my sister used to pretend that she was a fairy at night. I was terrified of the dark because I would see the shadow people. I would see a
Mhm.
lot of things within the night. And my sister was 5 years older than me, so she would protect me by mimicking with voices and things, right? So I thought. So I thought. And when my sister passed, I was lying alone in bed. Um, we lived in poverty, honestly. And my sister and I shared a room. And when my sister passed, I was all alone in this room. And I was asking Spirit, like, why did I have to stay here on this planet when my sister so loved it? And why did I have to stay and she got to go? It's kind of like sibling rivalry, right? And it's in
Mhm.
a really weird form. But what happened was that that night when I was asking those questions, this white light formed on my bed, and it had the shape of a cross within that light. And so if you looked out my window, there was window panes, right? And so I'm logical, and I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
that's the window pane, right? Well, no, it was a new moon. There was no light, and that was there. And that was when I began, um, drowning it out even more. I was grieving, but didn't have a whole lot of guidance in that grief process. I was 10.
Mhm.
And so I was the youngest of three siblings. I was the fourth, but my siblings were 5, 7, and 9 years older than I was. And so I was alone in that grieving process. And that light actually terrified me that night. And so my brothers being older and the drinking age being 18, that was my first introduction to putting a substance in my system that made my whole system go awry, right? So
Mhm.
we think the reason why I'm being told to share this, by the way, that's why I circled back around.
Mhm.
Um, we think that the things that we perceive as lost or gone, or we can't destroy that energy, right? Like we can't destroy that. I tried. Listen, I tried. I tried destroying myself. I tried destroying everything that meant anything because I just was in pain. And so why I share that is going back to that light years later. So I drank from the age of 10 to 29, 19 years, and I was in the thicks of it, in the throes of it. And when I started to realize that alcohol was the issue that was creating the desire to attempt suicide attempts, those things, Spirit started talking to me again and said, okay, listen, warrior,
Mhm.
we see you hiding up against that wall right now. We keep sending all these things to you so that you could grab on and come out. But you're afraid of that light. So we got to show you what the shadows look like first. And we're going to inch you away from the wall out into the shadowlands. And then we're going to shine that light. And that's exactly what I think healing is increments.
Mhm.
When spirits started talking to me, like, I would have loved to have said that it was because I was drunk, because I was walking down like, the sidewalks, and I would be talking to Spirit. I was upset that Spirit was presenting to me and like telling me, hey, this is what's going to happen next. And then it would. And I'm like, you want me to look at this when this caused me to not feel like I belonged on this planet ever? Like, I didn't just slide into Spirit, even though I had known Spirit my whole entire life. I, and for whoever I'm speaking to right now, or who is listening that is struggling with presenting their radiance, because Spirit wants ownership. They want you to own your brilliance. They want you to own your love. And I don't know about you, but that's been my whole journey on this planet, to learn how to love me.
Mhm.
I can love others like there's nobody's business, to the point where I can dial into codependency, right? And I have to dial back out, like, oh, but that's been my journey. That, like, when I learned human design, That was my journey to get embodied, to come out of spirit and to dip into this body. And I'm bodacious. Thank you, Ronnie, because Ronnie did a beautiful session with me. And, Freddie Mercury came through and told me we're bodacious. Like,
I
so
forgot
I'm
to
like,
Wow.
tell you that, Deanna.
That sounds amazing.
yeah, right. So like, I need to own this. Like I'm bodacious. I don't even know what the word really means. I think it like when I
Flamboyant
own it.
was the other word. Flamboyant
Yeah.
and
Like and you know
bodacious
something? I am a
and knowing the power of your
serious
voice.
introvert, right? I used to be. I'm coming out like I'm out here shaking. Like I'm bodacious right now. I would have never said that. But like that's like spirit's telling me somebody is listening to us tonight. Somebody's going to hear this and they need to know we love you. You might not know how to do that right now, but somebody loves you so incredibly much and is waiting for you to show up as you because you're loved. And if nobody hears anything other tonight than you're loved, please hear that. Don't only hear it, but feel it so deep in your body that you can't deny it because the world needs all of us to know we're loved and we are loved. And I am passionate about that because I've lived so much of it myself where I didn't know I was loved or belonging, another big thing,
Mhm.
right? Like where do we belong? If you don't belong to someone or something, what's the purpose of being here? Right? We
Right.
belong to one another because we're all pieces of one another. There is no other, just one another and another and another. You know,
I had
I,
the
don't, I
most
just got
amazing.
passionate out of no, like I felt the fire come up and out
That
when,
was good. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
amazing. With your, in conjunction with your not belonging and knowing that you are loved with everything, I had an amazing friend not too long ago. Um, and she told me, "You're just misunderstood."
mm,
And I was like, I've never heard somebody put it so eloquently to me before. Yes. And all of a sudden in that moment, I got the Pink tune running through my head at the same time. With a song from that Pink Misunderstood album. And yeah, just for all of those that are misunderstood, who don't feel like they belong,
yeah,
who feel like the outcast, and all of the other alone feelings that come with that. Yeah, thank
yeah,
you. We love you
for sure. And
out here.
Ronnie, I have to say something funny about that because I have a friend that showed up at a Halloween party as misunderstood. She had her sash and she
Oh,
was
that's
written as
amazing.
misunderstood. And she was incredibly beautiful. And her husband was judgmental. And
Oh my God.
That's hilarious. That is so funny. I love that so much. That's
right?
amazing.
Yeah, so bringing that vibration up, right? Around very serious things. Bring the vibration up. And I think that's what Deanna, Ronnie, and I all have in common, right? We're bringing the
Mhm.
vibration
Yep.
up with these amazing tools that we come to the table with. And everybody can do that.
Hmm.
Everybody.
And
Right.
what's beautiful is we all just have different tools to help. Deanna and I talk about that on here all the time, how we just have different tools, end result, just different tools of getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Go
Yeah,
ahead,
and
Deanna.
it's important as healers also to remember that our job is to help people learn to heal themselves.
Mm,
We don't wave a magic wand and all of a sudden everything is fine. We help people learn, use the tools. We might model the tools for them. We might use our tools to help them learn, but our job is to help people learn how to heal themselves because ultimately, like you said, you you have to love yourself. You have
Mm.
to. That's the big lesson because we can love everybody and everything, but if we don't love ourselves, we're not authentic and we're not who we are meant to be, and we're not able to help until we've helped ourselves and learned that process in order to teach it. So everything you're saying, Nan, is just so beautiful and so, I mean, I'll use your word, Ronnie, eloquent in what really needs to be done. And it is so important to let people know. I mean, we do this podcast because we want to help and because we want to present things to people that will help them learn how to heal, help them learn what tools they have or where to go if they need help figuring out what those tools are, right? And this is just one more example of we're here. We're here to help. We're here for somebody listening that needs to hear this message that we're putting out right now. If you think it's for you, it's for you. Plain and simple.
Mhm.
We talk about this so frequently, and for some reason, that is just that seems to be the theme this evening. Is we are just here to help.
Hmm.
We do this, we talk about this all the time on the podcast of how we came together and why, I was so driven to get this going.
Yep.
I mean, it was like a passion, like as somebody, anyway, a fire lit under my, trying to get this
Yeah.
happening and making it, and doing it. And it's been a passion project.
Hmm.
It's a
Hmm.
wonderful thing. And that's why we have all kinds of different people like you on, who just another tool. That didn't come out right. I heard that as I said it. That did not come out the way that I meant it. But
We are
another
instruments of
person
the divine.
with different tools to assist in that big, and, the end goal, which is, again, just as Deanna said, we call it helping you live your best life. What does living your best life look like? What does all of that look like to you? And it's all about teaching you, like Deanna said, how to heal yourself, giving you tools, letting you know that you don't have to go see Deanna. You don't have to come see me. If you don't resonate with Nan, then we got a plethora of other people. There's so many people out there these days doing all of this amazing good work. You know, how can we help you?
And
We're
you
all
know what
here to help.
else? I think that we as light workers, healers, however we want to, whatever label you use, um, we are starting to come together more. We are becoming
Thankfully.
cohesive. I mean, on our last podcast that we recorded, I talked about recently, I was part of a practitioners day here in Rochester where it was just a bunch of people who do all this stuff got together and we were set up for the public to come in and say, the whole thing was look at all these people that are here for you. Come and
Hmm.
meet us. And it ended up also being networking and connections and realizing the synchronicities in who you didn't know but who knew somebody else that you knew and now you all know each other and just the communities I think are starting to come together for that. And I think and this is not anything that I haven't said a million times, but there's a time of chaos, therefore there's a time of need. And people are looking for something outside of themselves to get them back to who they are. You look for your healer, you go to the doctor when you don't feel well, and the doctor gives you something that you have to do to feel better, whether you take a pill or whatever you do. So in the sense of the healing and the raising of the vibration and the just general helping of anyone that needs it, coming together as the communities, all of us. I mean, the connection that we're making right here on this podcast is another connection. It's another uplifting of that energy. And it's another way of bringing that energy in and bringing that healing energy out there and saying, but it's here for you. It's here for you. It's always been here for you. Again, I use the symbol of like Dorothy always had the means to go home. She just didn't have her eyes open to it. Same kind of a thing. So, I lost track of where I started on that, but yes, just yes.
How we're just all here.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that you bring up the synchronicities, because we have a tendency to talk about synchronicities frequently.
Hmm.
And I don't know about you, but everything that I keep hearing, seeing, and, learning about is exactly that, more and more connection, more and more understanding how it's all unfurling, to use Nan's word, because I like that word. Yeah.
Well, I'm
How
getting
it's
an
all
image of
just,
a,
mm-hmm.
yes, it's a
I told you,
basket.
spring is sprung.
I know there, it feels like there's a basket being woven right now, and we're all the fibers. I talk about fibers and filaments all the time because that's how my guide describes a lot to me. But
Hmm.
it's like we're all being woven together to create this basket. And within that basket is all of the love and the healing and the universe. And it's just like you just want to pour it. Oh my
Mhm,
gosh, I'm getting a little poetic feeling here, but
mhm,
yeah. Yeah, so what you're doing is shining that light and helping people. It sounds like helping them really get through those issues that need to come out and need to see the light, like shining the light on the shadow, as your spirit was telling you, shining a light on the shadows, and then realizing that you really don't have to be afraid. You really don't. You have to do the shadow work, right?
Yeah, I feel like that's a piece of it,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest. Like the shadow is a piece of it, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, you don't always all work in light. Even
Right.
if you're like a star seed, like you're not all in the light. You chose to come here to be a human being, to have an experience on this beautiful planet, and to be. The vibrational being is here to create their experience, right?
Right.
And so like that's part of it that I feel like the shadow work is a big part, but a small part. Because I don't know about you, but how easily do you own the brilliance of you? How many times has somebody said, and I don't mean you specifically, Deanna,
Right.
or
No, I
you,
know what you mean.
like I don't, I tend to speak that way, but I don't mean like pointing fingers at you.
Hmm.
But how many times does somebody get a compliment and you're like, oh, this old thing, it's just, I just threw
Yep.
it on today. But to
people do
somebody
that.
else, like that's your beauty shining through. And how many times have we taken and like diminished that, right? So
Right.
I think like my job here is to own my own beauty and my own power, and then to stand up in it, which is the challenge for most people that I've ever talked to. I can tell you all the things wrong with me easily. I could probably show you journals full of it as I've gone through the last 25 years, right? What I'm spirit's been talking to me a lot about lately is there's nothing to heal. You need to get in alignment, but there's nothing to heal. We want you to align to your power and beauty. That's the
Yeah.
ascension. That's the ascension. When you like, they showed me this beautiful picture. I don't really know what they're called, but you know those children's toys that you put your face in and the needles come out and then you see your
Yes.
face? They
Yes.
they showed me they showed me this, right? And they showed me with them all down. And they said if every person, there's 30 trillion on this planet now, something like that.
Probably.
If 30 trillion people all just did their own work, the work of one, their own, and realize simultaneously their own power at the exact same moment, the lights would come on and there would be a total different world.
I believe
Mm-hmm.
that.
That makes
We
sense.
just we just have to say thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to say thank you for 54 years and trying to like catch on. Just I just have to take care of me, the one, and love me the way that I need to be loved so that everybody else can love themselves the way they need to be loved. And it would flip it just like that.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. You
It's like,
know what you said about like not accepting the compliments or just saying, "Oh, this old thing" or whatever. It's it's something I've thought about a lot because not only did I have to, I'm also a child of the 70s. We were taught different. We were taught you're
yeah,
quiet. I mean, we were at the end of that. Women are not to be have
seen or
opinions
heard.
or credit cards or anything. Um, yeah, and but when you think about it on a larger picture, it has been I'm not saying anything bad about any religion, but it has been the general consensus in the religion that I have known and brought up in, and that others have told me they have been brought up in, that you are to be meek and mild. You are to be subservient, and not just women, more so women probably, but not just women. You are to be subservient. You are to be quiet. You are to listen to the guidance of something that if you displease this something, oh, you're screwed. And so coming out of that into realizing the separation between religion and spirituality. And I think that's what locks it in because you can have both. There's nothing wrong with religion. It's the interpretation
Mhm.
or the limitations. Where are they coming from? Are they coming from the men who decided it? Are they coming from the great beyond? And how can you make that mesh in with your spirituality? And then you put culture on top of that because we went from a matriarchal culture to a patriarchal culture, at least our American culture. You can see it in I'm not going to speak for the rest of the world because I don't know enough about it, but I know the culture that I've been raised in here in America. And it is one of you should be quiet and sit down and just look pretty and smile. And coming out of that, being raised at the very end of that. I mean, it was our mothers who put on the shoulder pads and the sneakers with their skirts and went to work, right? Our mothers were burning their bras. Um, but we had the grandmothers still that were like, so it's always a big issue for me because it's something I find so fascinating to be living and understanding on the edge of the bigger change for women. We had the one with voting, and then we had the one in the 60s through the 70s to get into the 80s and the power, whatever. I don't want to go into
The
all
big
that, but
hair, the big
the
hair.
big hair, the aquanet, and yeah, but
Well, I always remember the commercial. What was it? The Je ne sais lady. What was it? The Janae Je ne sais it started with a J. Lady who could
oh, she can bring home the
bring
bacon,
Bacon.
yes, and she
fry it
can
up in
fry
a
it up for her.
pan.
Yes, that one. Exactly. That's the
Yes,
one I think about all the time because
yes,
I aspired to be that woman growing up.
yep.
I wanted to be able to be a career woman, raise my kids, and still, you know, be home to cook my man a good dinner.
Because we were trying to
I
have both worlds at the
and we were
same
trying to have it
time.
all and
Yeah.
do it all and be damned if I didn't try and sometimes almost kill myself to make it happen.
Well, my mom decided to do that and up and left. So, it was like
Yeah.
that, but that was happening so much. I mean, the
Yeah,
divorce rate run up in the 80s, all this stuff happened because of what was going on. The people that were the teenagers or the young 20s in the 70s that were the movers and
right.
shakers, and then the ones that are maybe just kind of in that age group are a little bit older. I mean, so much. This
And
The
is like a
conditioning
passion
of
for
our
so
me.
generations,
luckily
right?
this new
So,
I'm sorry, say again?
The conditionings of our
Oh,
yes,
society,
yeah.
conditioning.
the
Yeah.
generational ancestral conditionings that
Yep,
it's that unfurling fern frond, right? Like
Was
absolutely.
deep.
it runs deep. Epigenetics recently has been starting to prove that it runs 13 generations deep. Can you like
Mhm,
so my husband and I went and learned a modality called family constellation work. It's
mhm.
brilliant, it's beautiful, and it's gentle and it's challenging. And so when we went to, go through an experience with this with our mentor, you know, my husband had his father's generational conditioning show up and had the conditionings that were passed on
Mhm.
to him show up. And we didn't even know that was still working in our marriage or in the way we relate to one another, even marriage aside, like how we related, how he is seeing through the lens that isn't his own lens. It's got, you know, speaking of 70s, what are those little
The Polaroids.
Polaroids?
no, the little lens that you put up and you change the
Oh, the Viewmaster.
Viewmaster,
Yes.
Viewmass.
you know,
Yeah.
like that's exactly what this is. And that's why I think it's so important to talk about it, because these are just lenses. They are not
Yeah.
us.
Right.
The modalities that Ronnie works with, or Deanna works with, or that I work with, they are not us. And I became, you know, I have, like, when I like something, right? And those modalities that we do as healers, it has taken me so long to understand that people aren't coming to me because I know these modalities. They are coming to me because I am the channel that is meant to come together to create that third thing, right? One
Mhm.
plus one equals three. It's not two. The math doesn't work anymore. Like, there's a third thing that happens, right? Synergistic energy occurs when we come together. So it's my job for myself mainly. And if you come along in the process and we do it together, that's even better, right? But the job is to wipe the lens so that our viewfinder, our view master, is creating the images that we want to see. We want to
Love that.
see, so we got to clean these conditionings off.
Yep.
And that's the quickening, right? You want to go through something
Mm.
fast, wipe the lenses off.
Well, and I was
Yeah.
also gonna say that this generation coming in and all, well, I think since the millennial generation, man, they are not coming in. They're coming in less and less and less all the time with all of this karma. And I'm still learning how much ancestral baggage they have, because they do still have some, but they don't have as much as what we do, because they're letting go of, or they're just not coming in with so much karma.
I
The
don't
same
think
way that
I
they're not coming in with as
karma's
much
yeah.
as ancestral baggage as well. Do they still have it? Yes. In my discoveries and my experiences with people that I've worked with in the younger generation, yes, they do still have it. It's just, it's different than how our generation and previous, and a couple of generations right after us. It's just different than in our, that parameter of age that we are all in. It's different. And it's
When
fascinating. And when I look at these youngsters, man, I'm always the first to tell them, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being here right now at this time, because the planet needs you. Thank you for being here. And they just look at me, sometimes they're like, thanks, that's really cool of you to say. And I'm like, just thank you. And sometimes, they take it different ways. And it's just always, I just want to remind them, thank you for being here.
hmm I'm finding this beautiful that you brought this in, Ronnie, because I have the general consensus between the three of us sitting here that we all are aware that we recycle, right? We're coming around and we come back around and we come back around. And so we keep referring to infants coming in, being born, new children, right? The population is being replenished. I'll put it that way just for a moment. But when these children are coming in and you're looking in their eyes, because I'm not saying I do soul work in this way, but I do have souls that come to me when a woman is pregnant and
Mhm.
starts
Hmm.
to tell me I'm choosing her. And I
Hmm.
sometimes know that they, if they aren't pregnant, they certainly are going to be very shortly. And that has happened. I don't say that I claim that as a gift that I have. I'm saying I claim that as a gift I've received because those souls choose to communicate with me to teach me what that means.
Hmm.
So, with that being said, one of the things that I've been hearing is these souls come in, and if you look in a soul's the eyes of a child that is born today, even
Hmm.
versus a child that's born 4 years ago,
Hmm.
they're holding their heads up, they're looking at you. They're like, what's this floppy thing that I'm in all of a sudden? The body, because the body is the last container of our auric field, right? The
Hmm.
container is the body, and the rest of the layers and the fields are out here. And you've got a fresh born soul that just dropped down into a dense container, and they're like, whoa, right? What just happened? But they are retaining more from both, I'm going to say sides, even though it's not really like that. You know, they're retaining this and they're coming in. But the work that we've been doing with the hypnosis and such, what are we doing? We're clearing off those lenses
Mm-hmm.
for the soul to realize that it's not a life, you know, it's a life, it's a string. And we're just pulling the string taut so that we can see all of the lessons that we've learned through these frequency patterns that we know as each lifetime. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and they're not even just linear either for that matter. But I
Right.
mean, you know, like, isn't that amazing?
It
We
is.
already know. We already know. We've already been around a couple times and up and down and around in dimensional ways. And, you know, like, isn't this isn't this a beautiful thing
Up,
that
down, and
we
around.
are,
That is a
yeah.
that's the best way to say it. Up, down, and around.
Yeah, we're remembering,
Yeah.
remembering. We're not creating, it's already been created. We're remembering who we are, the brilliance, the light of who we are. We're luminescent beings.
I love that.
When I
Yeah.
stop and think about it, and I can kind of just disconnect from the world for 2 minutes and I can stop and just look at it. It is such a beautiful, magnificent thing just to be able to come to this planet and do this life thing. It's just sometimes we get bogged down in all the rigmarole. That's
Boy,
Because
do we ever.
we're still in the human
oh,
body. Yeah.
Yeah, you're
you
still
know,
human,
Hmm.
right? Like, the goal isn't to
and
learn something else.
no,
Yeah.
it's just being able to and it's really actually for me, it's not disconnected, it's actually to stay more connected. However, the more I connect with my, beyond, the more disconnected I become from society, which is just that balancing act.
Hmm.
I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir right now. So, Nan, when people with all these amazing tools and everything that you are, shining your radiance and your brilliance and living out loud like you do, you beautiful human, you. When somebody comes to you, tell me how that works. So, how do you decide which modality or which tool that you choose to work with them on what does that look like? Or does a person choose what they're looking for with you, or what does that look like? I guess
Or
I'm
do
just
you
trying to
let
understand.
spirit?
Yeah, well,
Um, Both. So if somebody expresses that they have a desire to interact with me, no matter whether I'm at work or I'm at the gas station or I'm going, I remain open. I remain open. I communicate verbally and I make a heart connection. And that heart connection is going to tell the both of us or the 10 of us, whoever, however, you know, this is what we need to do because I believe we all know what we need when we need it and how we need it. And making that conversation occur in a heart centered way. If we're not present, I'm going to ask you to connect with me on Zoom or Messenger, whatever tool you have, whatever platform you're able to meet me on. We're going to meet. And I have for 18 years on my brochures, which I'm updating and trying to create all the platforms that present me professionally, right?
Hmm.
But the truth is that I haven't chosen most things like that because what I'm going to say is here's my number or my email, and can you reach out to me so we can schedule some time to have a conversation? And then we're gonna I, you know, if you're at my house, I'm gonna pull out a cup of soup. I'm gonna tell you to take your shoes off and curl up in that chair or sit on the floor wherever you're comfortable. And let's have a cup of soup together. Let's talk. Let's just get to know one another. Because what is gonna happen is both human and spirit's gonna show up.
Mhm.
Because we already
It
know. We
always
just
does.
remember, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes it's just a conversation, and I might not ever meet that person ever again. And they walk away completely knowing, or I walk away completely knowing. Like there's a divine timing, there's a divine rhythm, there's a divine pattern. And that's the other thing that I love about human design is because it helps you dial into those things that are uniquely unto your own energy pattern. And like one of the most beautiful things is, I think, just connect and talking. I hope that answered your question. I went on a little bit of a tangent and I'm dialing myself in. I realized I did that.
That's
um
okay.
but that's the truth for me. I love to just simply have a conversation, and then it starts to flow. And
Mhm.
Mhm.
if that person expresses a desire to know more about the tools that I have, which I mean, I've put out there on my website, you're going to know, like you go onto my website, you're going to know what I offer as far as tools go. But
Mhm.
the true experience is that you and I are going to get to know one another. And I am going to ask you to show me who you are right here, right now, because I see your potential and I can help you gap from where you're at right here, right now, to this magnificent potential if you want to go there. It's up to that person. Do you want to go there? These are the tools
Mhm.
I can offer to take you there. And most likely, if you're showing up with me, I can guarantee a couple things. We can clear blockages. They don't need to be there. And we can do them fast. You don't have to sit and talk to me about it. You don't have to tell me over and over. Like, we can do this.
Mhm.
But I guarantee you that you've been sent to me because I'm going to accelerate your energy frequency. And it's going to go faster. And you're going to dial into your gifts a little bit faster. And then you get to determine where we go from there. What do you want? What do you need? How can I support you? How can I best support you to become the best, brilliant diamond, brilliant person that you are? I don't like to use the word diamond, but it gives you the facet, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You pick your facets. I don't. You already know your facets. I'm just here to offer you a cup of soup and have a conversation and help you remember who you are, because that's the fastest way to find to do this earth, right?
Mhm.
To
Mhm.
do the earth. That's
I think that's perfect. I Okay, so what is the name of your business?
just nanfairchild.com.
Okay,
Just
so people can find you at
Fairchild. Yep, I tried to
nanfairchild.com.
hide behind a name for so long. And it's funny because, once again, Ronnie, the session that we just did, my higher self said she prefers Nan,
Mhm.
not Nancy. My name is Nancy Fairchild, but I'm Nan. That's who I am. I've hid behind the name Love and Life Wellness for so many years because that's what I believe in and that's what I do and that's what I like. But I have to stop hiding behind that because I'm Nan. I'm Nan Fairchild, and that's who I am, and that's who you'll get, and that's how I operate, right? And I've hid behind a business name for so long. It kind of feels like a deep breath
Freeing.
just to say I'm Nan. I'm Nan Fairchild, and you can find me on Facebook as Nan Fairchild. If you find me on social media, I have accounts, but you know, like inspired at nanfairchild.com is the best way to find me. Email me. Email me and just say, hey. this is who I am. This is how I found you. And can we have a conversation? And I'll respond. I'm kind of old fashioned like that in the sense of all these new fast ways. I'm all for, I love them, but not when we have a heart business to take care of. Not when yours and I's heart has some business to take care of, right?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Perfect.
that's not, yeah.
So I'm gonna repeat it one more time. So it's inspired at nanfairchild.com is
Yes,
how
ma'am.
people can email you. And then your website again is just nanfairchild.com.
And we'll put
Yes.
that in the
Perfect.
show notes too.
We will
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Um, I can't think of a better place to end. Can you, Deanna? I think she just totally
Yes.
summarized it in the
Yes.
most
This is
amazing
amazing.
way. Nan, we would love to have you come back another time.
Thank you.
We have thoroughly enjoyed this I'm speaking
Oh
for
yeah.
Deanna because
Oh
I
yeah.
know when I enjoy conversation, we're so much alike. I I didn't mean to speak for you, Deanna. I know it's
No,
rude,
I'm
but
totally, if I'm
I felt
quiet,
it.
I'm so absorbed.
I know, I know. This has, I mean, oh my gosh, we could talk about so many things. I think next time we have you on, we're just gonna have like a fun conversation. What do you think, Deanna?
I think we
Just like,
just did, so I'm all up for another one.
well, yeah, but I mean, like, kind of a little bit, now that we know who she is and what she does and all that, let's just kind of dig in there and, oh man, yeah, yeah, I'm excited. I'm
Nan, before
excited.
we go, is there any kind of a message or anything other than like the million that you just gave us, um, that that is there for our listeners? Is there anything yet unsaid that needs to be said?
When you ask that, I feel like there is a listener that's listening and they'll know who they are. They can reach out to any one of us.
Mhm.
Um, I don't mean to sound like a commercial, but like if don't hesitate. And that goes for any of us, right? Don't
Mhm.
hesitate.
Mhm.
If you are going through something and you hesitate, that's the suffering that comes, the hesitation. If you're going through something, don't hesitate. Just go through it and don't stop. And if your hesitation is reaching out to another, grab that hand faster than you can bat your eyes because it's super important. Don't hesitate. And that's what wants to come through. That's
Beautiful.
I
Thank
love
you for
that.
that.
Thank
And
you.
thanks, Spirit,
Thank
or,
you.
thank you. So I think if we're getting ready to
Yeah.
wrap up, um,
Man, this has been amazing. I can't wait to
yes.
have you back on. Oh my gosh, we
I
could
I
talk
appreciate you
and
ladies. I
we're
got a
gonna
little
talk.
chatty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're just, yes, so
So
excited.
we always encourage anyone who's watching, listening, however you're coming across us, leave us a comment, leave us a question. We do respond. We will respond. Um, and anyone listening, if you have anything you want to add, if you are interested in being on the pod, leave us a message. We will reach out to you. Reach out to any of us. We will have all the contact information for Nan. Maybe a link to a picture of a Viewmaster for those who are slightly younger than us old Gen X folks here. Uh, um, but yes,
That's
we do.
stretching somebody, so we will see about that. I will look into that because that's a good stretch. Let me see. I
Um,
It's
like
funny
that.
that you're
I will.
saying that because you can watch Toy Story too and watch the Slinky Stretch with the
Oh my
Viewmaster.
God, I forgot about that. Yes. Those are the
Thanks.
movies I took my kids to that I slept during. So what can I say? But
Yeah.
yes, so in closing, we just want to say thank you to everybody who's been listening. Thank you very much, Nan, for being here. We just are so blessed
Thank
to have
you.
you on. And to everybody out there, be blessed and be blissed and know that you're loved. and we will see you next
You are
time.
so loved. Have a good one, everybody. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.